Hey, welcome back to Late Night with Larry. Thanks for joining us. Tonight we're going to talk to another one of mine and Vince's brothers. His name's Martin, and he had a UFO sighting experience. Well, he's had several, I think, but I invited him on tonight so that he could share his experience with us. And I'm going to let him tell you about it, and you can decide, fact or fiction. All we know is these are the stories that we've lived. Introduce yourself, Marty.
Okay, what do you want to know about me? My name is Marty.
What do you do for you don't have to tell us where you work, but what do you do for a living?
I drive a truck.
Ah, okay. And you drive a truck regionally, cross country?
No, it's I'll run out to the west and out to California and come back over here to New Mexico.
Oh, okay. All right. So while you were on one of your drives, if I remember correctly, you had a UFO encounter.
Yes, I did. This one was going back when I had a different route going east. I had been on the road for about 2 hours. Just got to Santa Rosa, went through Santa Rosa, and I was leaving Santa Rosa. I looked off over to the north of the interstate there, and I seen these lights, but I seen they were moving, and I figured, wow, by the time I get to where it crosses the interstate, I should be able to see it pretty close. And I drove. It was probably about 10 minutes more, and as I went where it crossed the interstate, it was barely off the highway there, just barely moving very slow. So I figured, well, let me see if it's a helicopter. So I rolled down my window. I couldn't hear no sounds at all.
Right.
And I knew it wasn't an airplane because going that slow, it would have fell out of the sky.
Right.
Now, what I saw was these huge lights. They were 30, 40 feet in diameter, 4 of them in a row going from east to west. But it was dark. It was dark enough where you couldn't even see no stars or anything. But you couldn't see the craft. You just seen the lights. Right. But this thing had to be huge to have them 4 lights on it. And the lights, it never even lit up the ground. And the highest it could have been was, if you've seen those smokestacks at these power plants, it had to be, that was the max height it had to be.
Off the ground.
Off the ground. And it was just barely clearing the hills as it was kept going south. And some people say that we have our own now, our own UFOs.
What do you mean? What do you mean by
with that we have the technology?
Oh, yeah.
And I thought about it. I thought, well, maybe that was one of ours, right, because where the direction it was headed toward the Air Force Base down south there.
Toward what's the Holloman?
Holloman Air Force Base.
Holloman?
Yeah.
Okay. And for our listeners, we're in New Mexico. That's why he's talking about Santa Rosa, New Mexico, Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. But being that you said it was headed toward Holloman, I mean, a lot of UFOs, if you listen to stories, some of them just hang out around like our military installations. So
that's true.
You know, so I mean, and I take it from your point. Yeah, we probably don't know if it was one of ours or
right,
one of theirs. But going back to your sighting, now you said you saw 4 lights, like 30 feet in diameter. Were they all one color? Were
yes,
they different color?
They were all white.
All white?
And that's why I couldn't figure why they weren't illuminating anything on the ground.
Right.
It would just...
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, that's one of the things that if we were UFO researchers that night, we would have called and got some information. Was any aircraft in this area? And, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, will they tell us the truth? Yeah, there was. But most of the time when people do that, their answer is a negative, you know.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So you were going in your truck. Mm-hmm. How fast were you going in your truck?
I was doing, well, the truck would only do like, most trucks, a lot of trucks nowadays are governed.
Right.
And I think I was doing like about 60, 65 max.
Okay.
But that thing was barely moving. I was really shocked at especially as close to town as it was.
Right.
I was like, well, apparently these guys don't mind being seen because they're over here close to town.
Right.
And it had to be a pretty big craft to have lights that big on them.
Right. Well, I mean, if we look at the diameters that were given on the Phoenix lights, that craft was enormous. It was huge. You know, some people just saw the lights, but people in other cities, like in Chandler, and as it went on its path, said they did see it, but they also saw like the silhouette of it, and they said it was huge.
Wow.
So, you know, it could have been huge.
Yeah. You know, I always, being out there at night a lot, I tend to look and see if I can see anything, any strange stuff in the sky. But most of the time, I don't see a whole lot. Although there's a guy up here in Edgewood, I believe it's Edgewood or Moriarty.
Right.
He does this thing with the night vision. He said it has to be a very good quality. And he says that the UFOs are out there, but they're beyond where the light that we can pick up with our eyes.
Right.
And he says you can see them out there. He said that one time he saw a couple of them shooting back and forth at each other, and then one of them blew up. But apparently they're out there, I'm guessing, watching us. Of course, we're just like kids. We can't be trusted. Don't touch the matches, you know.
Right.
But as far as UFOs, with my experience, I've had this weird thing where if I see one, it almost seems like I know that one is ours,
right,
compared to an alien one, because you get this when you see an alien one, that I believe that you get this feeling of being watched,
right,
and it's like a connection. It just gives you a weird feeling.
You think that the ones that are not ours, that are following you, that they somehow project maybe vibrations that you pick up on that let you know, hey, we're here, and we're watching you.
That's possible,
right? And you're not the first to say that.
Yeah, it does. It gives you a real strange feeling,
right?
But
you say, I don't want to be probed.
I want to see him, but I don't want the experience of
right.
The
right. And let's take it back to ancient times where people said that, oh, these are depictions. I mean, I watch Ancient Aliens because I love the UFO subject.
Yeah, so do I.
And they have all these drawings that they say, well, this a UFO secretly put in the painting, or like the Mayans, how they're carving, how they like it resembles a man in a spacecraft. And what do you think about that?
I think that the aliens were here helping. That's my own personal thoughts. I think they helped build the pyramids. I think they interacted with us a lot more back then, and I'll tell you possibly maybe why. Not that just because they're more advanced than us that they ain't doing it with us now, but I think that with our technology and all the weapons that we have developed over the years, they have less interaction with us because, as they say, we are a violent race.
Right.
And I think they really don't want to deal with that.
Right.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of cover up too.
I think there is a lot of cover up, and I'm going to agree with you that I think in the days past, ancient times, that they interacted with them a lot more because we weren't as threatening back then.
Right. Yeah. What we're going to do? Throw a rock at them?
Right. And look at all the tribes that have their little Starman theories and star children, and the creators came from the sky, and you hear all these tribals just worldwide, not just in the Native and Hopis like here in our area, but worldwide. All these ancient tribes have stories about the gods who came down,
Exactly.
and of course we're going to get the Christian people that say, wow, there's only one God. Yes, I believe there is only one God, but
But
he created everything. So, we don't have to be the only race that he created.
exactly.
And these races may be just far superior and advanced than we are. The more that we go out there with space exploration, we're crazy to think that we're alone.
Exactly. Well, look now. The Vatican owns two telescopes.
Right.
Two huge telescopes. One of them is in Flagstaff, and they ask them, "Well, what are you looking for?" They say, "Oh, we're just observing the stars and everything." But the Vatican also came out years back saying that if there are aliens, they are our brothers.
Right.
So I believe that the Vatican is just like our government. They hide a lot of stuff from us.
Of course.
And I think they know. And it hasn't been really apparent that they've started looking out in the stars until the past, maybe 10 years.
Right.
And I think they have something written down that tells them, okay, we're going to be coming back at this time. So I think that's what they're looking for.
Well, that's the whole Nibiru theory, Planet X. Well, that's interesting that, not many people know what you just told me, but I knew that. They have one in Vatican City and the one that's outside Tucson. Yeah, it's located close to the Apache tribe in Tucson, and I know it because I've been down there. I used to do work down there in that area, and when I was there, I was always like, why is Tucson so dark? Tucson, the lights are kept low because of that observatory. And do you know what the name of that observatory is?
No.
It's called Lucifer.
Oh, that makes me think.
Right. Okay. So now they say it's a coincidence if like one of my friends didn't believe me. So I said, Google it. I said, Google, Lucifer telescope. And he did. And he was like, whoa, that's crazy. They have an acronym for it. And the initials spell Lucifer. And it's an infrared telescope that could probe into deep space. And it's not cheap, but
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why is the Vatican, like you said, searching the stars? What are they looking for? What do they know that we don't know? Yeah, and it just amazes me that a lot more people ain't informed about that. I guess the priest during Sunday Mass doesn't say we're taking up a second collection so we could keep the Lucifer Observatory going. We want to keep looking at the stars. So,
well, you mentioned Lucifer in church, and you ain't getting no money.
Right. That and it's an oxymoron if you ask me.
Exactly.
But and I believe that there's UFOs out there too. I really do. And I'm like, I watch all these documentaries and whatnot, and it seems like they hover over our military bases because ever since we've tested the atomic bomb, it's like we've had more and more visitations. And like you said, they're like watching us, saying these kids, they're playing with matches and they're going to burn the shed down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know somebody that almost did that one time, but we ain't going to that. So.
No, I don't think we should go there because the shed did burn down.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And so what's your take on it? Why do you think that if they are up there, not ours, if they are up there, why do you think that they're watching us? What do you think? Do you think they're going to intervene someday, or?
I think they want to make sure that we actually don't blow up this planet, I think, because they've already deactivated some of our nuclear weapons.
Right.
And I think they're just watching us, hoping maybe one day that we'll be civilized enough where we can join all the other maybe it's not nations, but all these other galaxies and stuff that have life on them,
Right.
to join their federation or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But right now, they probably think, nah, we bring them out there, they're going to fight with everybody.
Right. They don't know how to play nice.
Yeah, that's right.
And I believe we got some of our technology from aliens.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's advanced way too fast for us to just develop it ourselves.
Especially fiber optics.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
That I don't know. You're right. We've come a long way in a short time.
Mm-hmm.
And seems like that happened after the Roswell crash.
Exactly. Well, you know, the I guess basic technology it is now with computers. Well, look, we don't hardly even use computers anymore as far as like home use and stuff.
Right.
Everybody has their tablets or whatever. But it was kind of a joke back then when they were showing a commercial where this guy's happy with his T2 computer that he just bought, and they got a billboard there, the new G3 or T3.
Right.
It's like, well, mine's already obsolete.
You're right there, and and they do get obsolete, and I think we're kind of hitting a plateau there with laptops, and that's why now they're really pushing the quantum computing, the AI, because we've went as far as we can. It's like the new processors every year. Okay, one more core, quad core, and but what are we really doing with them now? Don't get me wrong, they've made our life a lot easier communication wise. With the speed of light, I could text someone on the other side of the earth and get a response just as quick back.
Exactly.
So that in itself is amazing, but I always wonder if you're up there and then sometimes you guys show yourself, what are you doing up there? Why don't you just come down already and say, this is why we're here?
I think my personal thoughts on that is, I think that the aliens have deals with not only our government but world governments.
And I've heard that theory as well.
Well, look, that the government hides everything.
Right.
They don't. Well, now I don't want to turn this into conspiracy, but
no,
they do. They hide everything from us.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. You were in the military. I was in the military. We know that they have technology that's years ahead of what the private sector out here, what we have. They have weapons. They have tools that are far beyond what we're using today. And, and it's for national security. No, that shit's for control.
There was a guy on one of the shows I was listening to. He said that the night vision the military grade night vision that they have, they keep a tight lid on it.
Right.
And he said it's what happened one time is one guy misplaced it.
Right.
One of the night vision goggles. And he said they had 200 guys looking for that, and they had to find it because they didn't want to get out.
Wow. What makes it so special?
Exactly. He said that when he was out in the Middle East,
right?
He said he had a set, and he said he looked up with them, and he said it looks like in the atmosphere there's a netting. He said it's almost like it's alive. It's like, he said what he saw was like a netting over the atmosphere. So if it's good enough to detect stuff that we can't see with our eyes,
right?
They don't want it out.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Well, just like that movie. Did you ever see that movie, They Live?
Yeah.
With Rodney Piper?
Yeah, where you got to put the glasses on.
And you see all the,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be something like that.
Well, and now that you bring that up, I mean, I hear the theories of the aliens have been here, and like you said, they're in conjunction with world governments. And they say, that's why some abductions happen, because they allow them, it's a quid pro quo, this for that. You could abduct X amount of people and experiment on them in exchange for this technology. And, and you think about it, all these people that have had abductions, they're like, well, I got some of my sperm taken out, or the females say they took my egg out. And you hear these theories about the hybrid kids, that the aliens have done, and they put them to live on the planet, and and they're like, they're a little different than you, but you'd never know.
Yeah.
And it's like, if so, these are the smart kids.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting what's out there.
Yeah, it is. It's like, I've heard that they go ahead and do these hybrid kids, and they will not put them on the planet to live with us unless they look just like us.
Right.
Because they said, if you see somebody that looks weird, no, they're not an alien. That wouldn't pass with the aliens.
Right. Yeah.
But they, I don't know. It's hard to say. Who knows? Right. Most people might be aliens, as far as we know.
Well, now, are you familiar with Dulce, New Mexico?
Yes, I am.
I mean, there's a lot of stories about the underground bases there, and the alien bases there, and there's I guess he was a tribal officer up in Dulce, and he wrote a book about his experience, and in his book he talks about seeing more than one UFO through the night, and how they would come down, and of course he talks about battles too, and there's parts of this country that are so remote that we think, wow, how come I didn't hear about it on the news? Well, we live in the cities. This is taken out in the remote areas.
Exactly. So. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's hidden from us that I'm guessing most people probably don't want to even know about it.
Right.
But you know what? The way I see it is we have the right to know everything.
Well, I think we should. It's our tax dollars that fund it all,
Exactly.
And well, here's the thing. They say, well, the public wouldn't be able to handle it. We could handle more than you think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and that takes back to there was, on one of the documentaries I saw, they had hired a filmmaker when we were testing some of our multi-stage rockets, and it was out in California, and they filmed it. And they didn't know that they caught something on film. It wasn't until they were in the editing room. They got called in, and in that film, supposedly, the rocket test failed, right? The rocket spun out of control and failed. Well, what they caught, supposedly, in this footage was a UFO bouncing around and shooting the missile with the beam. It shot it at the back end, shot it at the front, shot it at the middle, and then the missile just went out of control. And then out of the clip, the UFO just disappeared. And you ever hear about that?
I have never heard of that one.
No, and that's like one of the most famous ones. And the guy says he was called in, and the military officer asked him, what kind of shit were you guys pulling up there? What are you doing? What are you pulling? We paid you to, and they're like, what you got was raw footage. We tracked it and filmed it just like you wanted. And when they showed him the footage, he was like, no, that wasn't us. We didn't even see that. So from that day on, they were, held to secrecy. It's like you can't say nothing, you can't do nothing, and it's pretty wild what the links they'll go to just to conceal things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As far as traveling, how do you think they travel?
See, that's another question that I just don't think I could answer. You hear the portals, the wormholes, but it has to be. First of all, how do they stay afloat in our in our atmosphere with no sound?
I believe it's their propulsion system
that's
doing it, because I think it's an anti-gravity propulsion system.
Oh, it definitely is anti-gravity.
Yeah, but apparently it doesn't make noise. The propulsion system doesn't make noise, because if not, you'd hear it just like the jets and everything else.
Right.
But I think that thing's capable of more than just travel.
Yeah.
According to I don't know if you've seen anything on Bob Lazar.
Yeah, I've seen some of Bob Lazar's stuff.
He said he pissed off the government pretty damn good when they hired him to back engineer one of those engines.
Right.
And once he started looking at it, he said this thing is capable of going faster than light speed. He refused to tell him how it worked.
Right.
And so they were mad. And instead of him disappearing right away, he figured, I'm going to go public. If I scream loud enough, they ain't going to do nothing with me.
And he was right.
Uh-huh.
He did.
Yeah. And I like hearing his talks and stuff like that.
Yeah, he does. He has some interesting stuff to say.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because they would have to travel speed of light or faster. But we couldn't. I mean, our body can't even handle 5G.
I think what it probably does is puts you in a bubble.
It'd have to.
Yeah. Let me before I forget, we're talking about travel. Let me tell you what me and my wife saw.
Okay.
Okay, we were standing outside when we lived at the old place right here.
Now, when you
Meadowbrooks.
say okay, old place, that's
Yeah.
That's here in Albuquerque.
Yes. Okay, we were outside. We thought, let's see if we see any UFOs. So we were standing outside, and right away we were both attracted to one star.
Right.
Okay, we're watching it, and we watched it for a little bit, and then we figured, well, there ain't nothing going on there. So we started kind of, going away from it.
Right.
She was looking one way, I was looking the other. Before we got too far away from it, you've seen when the Starship Enterprise hits warp speed.
Right.
And then at the end, when the ship's gone, you just see that flash.
Right.
Well, that's what that star did.
Just like the Millennial Falcon.
Just like that. And it was gone. Seen it no more. So I'm wondering if they didn't, I guess, do a jump to light speed or whatever the hell they do to travel.
Right.
Because it was something that, I don't know why, but we were attracted to that star.
Right.
And then it did that. And it was like, we just turned toward each other and it was like speechless. We were like, did you see that? Yeah, well, I did. We were freaking out on that.
Right. You both saw it and couldn't believe it.
Exactly.
And on one, what was I watching the other day? And they did that. They had footage, and the guy said when the ship took off, he said like there was a bang, but it just vanished so fast. I mean, look at the footage that was released about the Navy fighters. That wasn't supposed to be released, supposedly, but it got out, so they had no choice but to say, yeah, okay, and that thing was moving. It took that jet fighter some time to lock onto it, but you hear the conversation, then they finally say, oh, locked on, we got it, all excited, and it's like, you got it, but you'll never catch that thing.
Oh, I got a story on that one too. Okay, we were at Mom and Dad's.
Right.
Over in Gallup.
Right.
And it was about midnight. We decided to leave Mom and Dad's at midnight. We were visiting. Then I put my wife in the truck. And then I was walking around the front of the truck. And for some reason, we grew up there. And basically, the sky, maybe not but if something's out of place.
Right.
And there was a star. I thought, that thing seems kind of out of place. So I opened up the driver door to get in. And I told my wife, I started to tell her, does that star look out of place? But I didn't finish saying it. I said, does that star? And then it started moving. And I told her, there's a UFO. She says, where? I said, get out, watch. It's over here. And it was just going south, like towards Zuni.
Right.
And then as soon as it pretty much lined up with Najoni to go east, it started going east. And we looked at it for about maybe 15 seconds, huh? And then it wasn't going fast. 2 fighter jets went flying by. Whoa! Hauling ass, man. And then like I said, it didn't look like it was going fast, but those jets weren't even going to get close to catching it.
They weren't going to touch it.
That would. You know what? These experiences, you think about them later on, it's like, wow, that was cool. But I still want to know what's going on.
I think we all do. And we're not the only ones. This world's full of people that have had sightings, that have captured footage, and we just want to know, is this us or is it them? And if it's us, then hey, cool,
Now, that one that I just told you, that one I believe was them because I had that weird feeling.
Right.
That's what made me look up at the star.
Right.
So that one I believe was them.
Well, it's a strange world. It's a strange world.
I got one more that
We got time for one more.
okay, well, you know the way some of these, I guess, theorists say, well, or even you've heard that there's a alien base on the dark side of the moon.
Right.
You hear that. Well, one day we were getting home. It was at night
Right.
here where we live now.
Okay.
And my wife says, "Is that a UFO?" And I looked up and I was like, now, why I just blew it off, I don't know. I should have broke out the camera. Of course, everybody, yeah, I should have, but you don't.
Right.
I looked up and there was this, I know it was a ship because it was moving
Right.
and it was going toward the moon. It wasn't that far from the moon, but if the moon was this big, the ship was probably about this big.
Now, when he says this big, he's making reference to a circular pop filter, which is about 6 inches in diameter. And the ship was
Probably about good.
about as big as the USB plug-in.
Yes.
So that's your frame of reference.
And in order to see it that big from where, that thing had to be huge.
Of course. I mean, that's a way out. But here's the catch. China just landed on the dark side of the moon, and they sent their rover. Now, they found some, what they say is it's shiny green material, and I forgot what they said it was, but whether they're going to say or not, if there's a base, but China's on the dark side of the moon. Why didn't we do that?
Exactly.
You know?
Well, they say that when our astronauts were there, they were like looking and they said, well, they're watching us, which I believe they were referring to the aliens watching them.
Right.
So I think there was maybe a fear factor in there, possibly.
Yeah.
But maybe they just left for their own safety. Who knows? But yeah, I think we should have went over to the other side too.
I definitely, I'm like, we're there. Get in that little
exactly. If you're gonna do it, do it right.
Get in that little sand buggy and haul ass
Exactly.
over there. Now, it wouldn't have been that easy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of distance to cover. But yeah, I mean, I think supposedly we went to the moon more than once, so we should have at least planned one. Let's see what's on the dark side.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah, there's a lot of theories about alien bases here, and we could go on and on and on. But I just wanted to bring you on tonight and let you tell us your experience that you've had, you know, and they're your experiences. I've never seen one close up. I think I saw one, but then again, you know, like they say, certain people attract them. It's the vibrations. And the people that have like seen one usually see one over and over again. And some people just have one experience, but the people that send off the right vibration, they attract them, and they have more than one sighting, you know, multiple sightings. And some people fear for their life, like, oh, they're coming back for me. And, you know, so
Yeah.
who are we to say?
Exactly. Yeah. It's, you know, I don't mind seeing them.
Right.
I like seeing what they do. I mean, I've never seen anything go as fast as those that I've seen.
Right.
Or, you know, you see one shoot across the sky or something, and you're like, nah, that's a shooting. No, a shooting star doesn't turn like that.
All right.
But I'm not too sure I want the close encounter one.
I don't think I do.
No, definitely not. I got something against probes.
Yeah, me too. I'm good looking for Sasquatch.
Yeah, get yourself a little bit of dog man there.
That's right. No, well, it's better than the probe.
Hey, you got that right.
Oh wait, what am I talking about? What if they probe me too?
Oh man, yeah, there's the aliens doing it.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Anyway, thanks for coming on and telling us your.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. And for all you out there, if you've had a story or of a sighting, go ahead and email me at latenightwithlarry55@gmail.com. One word, @gmail.com. Yeah, I was right. Yeah. So that's it. We thank you for listening. And if there's something you want to share with us, email me and we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll get you on with us. Thanks again, Marty.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you.